Hey viewers, welcome back to the channel. So it's been a couple days since I've had that issue with the Bronco. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check the video over here. After I found the battery dead, I charged it back up and everything seemed okay. But like I said, it's been a couple days now and I'm gonna go find out, is it okay? Is the battery flat? Is my Bronco ruined? Let's go find out. Well, that's a massive relief. I guess now I have to decide whether I want to continue reviewing this product or not. If none of you did your own sleuthing with what little info I left you in my last video, well, here's the unit itself. The Launch Elite 2.0 F. The F designates this as the Ford brand edition. Going with the assumption that this device didn't actually infect my Bronco somehow, we're going to turn the ignition on, but not start the engine. Plug the unit into the OBD port located just below the hood release. Immediately the unit will try to read the VIN number and model information from the vehicle. With a network connection, it'll check online database for referencing the vehicle, but in the case of my 2024 Heritage Bronco, it fails to ID it. If we exit back to the home screen and go into the OBD option, it will go through the process, try and identify and connect to the variety of OBD protocols. The most common protocol is listed first, and it makes a connection once it's ID'd the proper one. From here, all the generic basic OBD functions are available. Trying to figure out the navigation, we back out to the protocol ID search page and run the full scan. Most vehicles just run a single OBD protocol, so it's not a surprise that the rest of them failed during the search. Every time you start your Ford, the OBD system will run an onboard monitoring test, and here you can access that test data through the reader. If anything is out of tolerance here, you'll get a check engine light on the dash. Navigating back to the home screen and to the diagnostic screen shows a glaring issue that I have with this unit. It prompts you to verify if you want to exit the mode you're in, but clearly you want to, as it lets you go to the home screen to select another option. Instead, you have to repeatedly hit the back button and confirm the multiple prompts that keep popping up. So finally out to the diagnose option, and let's see if it'll do the auto detect. Again, it reruns the connection to read the VIN number. This time we have the option to select the Ford brand, but again, after a lengthy process of trying to ID the vehicle, we get a signature verification once again. So let's go back instead to the auto detect. We'll select the Ford brand option. Again, we wait for it to communicate with the Bronco, and then we're presented with a few options. From here, we try the automatic search once again, and once again it fails. If we try the manual select option, we can choose from the vehicle year or model. Going into the model year option gives us vehicles from only 2009 and older. If we try the 2009 model year, again we see the ID search fail. If we now try the Ford model option, we can go down into the submenu and finally see a Bronco option listed, which then gives us a variety of engines to choose from. Once we choose our engine of choice, again we end up with just two older models to choose from. I previously tried the newer of the 2 years, but the other option gives us the same outcome. Once verifying the VIN number, once again we get the same signature error, but continuing on we finally end up with some diagnostic options to choose from. If we choose the system selection option, finally we can see the modules listed. For example, if we go into the ABS module, we're presented with just some basic options. If we choose the fault code option, we can see now that we can do an on-demand self-test of the module. This will function the ABS module, looking for any parameters that are outside the nominal values Ford has specified for the unit. You can see a search option here, I assume to be used if the scanner pulls up an error code. That's nice and not an option you'll see on cheaper scan devices. If we back out and try a different module, we see the same scanner options available. If we try the continuous memory DTC option, we see no errors present. So now instead of hitting the home button, we hit the back button to be sure we exit whatever mode we're in so we can access other functions. This time we'll do a full health check. This obviously does a full system scan, communicating with all the modules looking for any persistent diagnostic codes. And as we can see, a clean bill of health. It's kind of interesting, when I first installed my Form headlights, I recall ForScan picking up a left front enhanced exterior lighting system error, whatever that is. Well, a couple weeks later, that left headlight had an intermittent failure with the halo ring. Of course, Form headlights warranted the light for free of charge. It's pretty cool that the onboard diagnostics clearly found something out of the ordinary with that light, which eventually led to its failure. A health check scenario like this would be advisable before a long overland trip, such as a Trans-Sahara. Maybe it detects you have a fuel pump on the way out, for example, but doesn't actually fail until you're a million miles from anywhere. Next, let's have a look at the system selection, and we'll take a look at the all-terrain control module. One of the modules you typically modify with the ForScan to enable extra go modes. Well, it's cool that we can select sensor data to monitor and live stream and record. Unfortunately, I don't see any way to get into the module's bits to modify the same way we can with ForScan. Basically, without the unit properly identifying the Bronco, we're kind of limited to what it can actually do with it. However, we can go plug into my Ford Fiesta and see how that unit works with an older model car. So almost immediately we can see the device picked up the VIN number without any issue and correctly displayed the vehicle specifications correctly. After confirming the vehicle data is correct, the unit conveniently goes through a comprehensive health check. And this time, it's not exactly a clean bill of health. The ABS fault isn't one I was expecting, and it looks like there's been a COM fault at some point. The APIM module, which is a module I upgraded to get Android Auto capability from a year newer Fiesta, has an error for a GPS antenna. Apparently my upgraded module is one that has built-in navigation, which I never use. In the body control module, we can see the TPMS sensor error from the winter wheels, which have no sensors installed. The next error was caused from my serpentine belt breaking while I was on my way to work the other day. Coolant temp and generator because of the loss of the belt driving the pump and alternator, and the engine overspeed no doubt caused from the Fiesta going into limp mode, limiting RPM to a maximum of 2,000 revs. Clearing the errors is as simple as a couple of button clicks, but the GPS antenna and TPMS errors will obviously persist. So again, now we're going to go back out to the health report and go back home and head into the OBD function. Again, we see it start with the OBD protocol scan and quickly verifying and connecting to the first one. Once connected, we can see a few more options available showing compared to the Bronco on the same diagnostics page. Let's see what we can find by going into Diagnose and then the Ford Make option, and again, we see a similar set of options as before. If we go into the system selection again, we see a list of accessible modules. Let's take the ABS module as an example, seeing as it was showing previous code errors. Here we see another option that was missing on the Bronco, actuation test. Now we're getting somewhere. From this screen, we have the ability to test and actuate each individual brake actuator and isolation valve. The dump option, I assume, is the function you'd use to bleed each brake line when doing a fluid flush. Let's have a look at the audio control module and actuation test. It's kind of crazy that this 10-year-old Fiesta arguably has a better sound system than the modern pricey Bronco. Here's an option that should show up in all the modules. If and when you need to replace a faulty module, this option gives you the ability to code the new module to your specific VIN. The body control module is the one where a lot of the ForScan programmability is available with Fords. We can see a plethora of actuation test options available, so let's have a look at the door lock function and give it a test. You can see that the scanner sends a signal to the body control module to trigger the door lock relay. Of course, to unlock them, you'll have to go to the All Door Unlock option and enable it. Maybe you have an issue with your wipers. I've seen wiper relays begin to fail, causing the wipers to not properly return to the park position. Let's see what happens when we actuate it. The low-speed wiper relay looks fine, and when you disable it, the wipers stop dead instead of parking. However, once you exit the test, the wipers should return home, and you can hear them do so. There are literally dozens and dozens of functions that the extensive BCM controls, likely even more in the more sophisticated four-wheel drive Bronco. If we back out and go into the Commons Function menu option, we see some common service reset functions available. Oil change computer reset, battery monitor reset when replacing the battery, brake bleeding option, and a bunch of options I have no idea about. The Special Functions option has a few more service procedures available, but again, no way to access the hexadecimal module data to reprogram certain functions the way you can with ForScan. So when I was originally approached to do this video, the people at Launch wanted me to do a comparison with this two-way device and the popular ForScan software. Before saying anything more, everywhere I looked in the Elite 2.0 scanner, I couldn't find anywhere that I could make changes to the module data like I can with ForScan. For example, in my last ForScan video, I demonstrated how you could change the tire circumference in the body control module to correct any speedometer error and get a true speed reading on the dash. Other popular mods you can do with ForScan data access is add GOAT modes to your Bronco that didn't come with that particular Bronco trim, for example. A lot of owners also update modules to enable global windows up and down, or Bambi mode, disable the multitude of alarm chimes, and of course the dreaded double honk. These special abilities, more than anything else, is what makes ForScan so popular, not to mention that it's free. But you know, consider purchasing a full license for a modest price to help support the developers. The only other requirements for using ForScan are of course a laptop and netbook PC, and an appropriate OBD2 dongle. Even though there is no ability for this scanner from Launch to change the module data, to be honest, most owners simply make these changes to their Ford and then never go back in and make any other changes. In this regard, you definitely won't be going out and buying a laptop to do this if you didn't already have one. And if you don't have a laptop, maybe you already know somebody with a Bronco and the ForScan setup that could help you make these changes with you. So then, who is this device for? Well, apart from the ForScan mods, this unit gives you the same vehicle access to your Ford that Ford technicians have. The ability to read and reset DTC codes, the ability to run service procedures like a brake fluid flush, for example, reset learned data from the adaptive transmission parameters, or trigger functions such as the wiper relay like I demonstrated. Also for troubleshooting, this little handheld device will let you record live stream data from any manner of vehicle sensors and record that overlay data and display it and play it back on the screen. All this from a small, convenient, affordable device that you can keep in your tool bag or glove box. One of the features I really like is the health check function, which reads and checks all the vehicle modules and spits out an HTML printout that you can send from the device to your email for further research or reference. Of course, again, ForScan will also do an overall module scan for errors and log stream data from the sensors as well, and perform the service resets and procedures just like the Launch Elite 2.0. With the 2024 Bronco, however, this device seems to be only compatible with the 2021 and 22 model years, but we still had the ability to manually get into the modules and check and reset trouble codes. On the Bronco, it seems like you could run on-demand self-tests on any of the modules, which is a built-in function that Ford programs into its vehicles. But unlike the Fiesta, I didn't see any way to use the device to actuate a module function, like the wiper relay, for example. The module power on self-test is pretty powerful though. I've run the HVAC one before, and it'll cycle through all the blower speeds, settings, dampers, and vent actuator positions looking for and displaying any faulty data. But again, all these things ForScan to do as well. So should I suggest one device over the other? Well, I guess that's going to depend on your situation. When I travel overland with my Bronco, I already have my laptop with me, so ForScan gives me everything I need. Or maybe you don't want to make any custom changes to your Bronco, but you want the ability to check things over with your Ford without having to pay the dealer to do the exact same things that you can do with the Launch Elite unit. Or maybe you're not a laptop owner, or you're not particularly tech savvy. In either case, keeping this thing in a glove box makes a lot of sense. All those functions in a small, self-contained handheld unit, a built-in USB rechargeable lithium battery. It comes with a lifetime of free updates for the Ford brand and has the ability to purchase subscriptions for other manufacturers as well, all online with its built-in Wi-Fi. My most obvious concern is the lack of compatibility with my newer model Bronco. Hopefully that's something that's rectified soon. The company has a presence on the US Amazon site, but if you want to save a few dollars and don't mind waiting a couple weeks for delivery, you can order it instead through their website. Both links you can find in the description below. In conclusion, I guess the big question is this thing safe to use? Well, that's a good question. Is ForScan safe to use? It's also a foreign entity. The developers and forum are based in Russia. But thousands of people have used ForScan around the world, and it's been around a long time. Does that make it any safer though? I don't know. Ultimately, the decision lies with you. While I'm still keeping my laptop and ForScan with me when I travel, I think I'll also have this coming along with me as well in my tool bag. You just never know. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.